We are not doctors. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as medical advice. Consult your physician before starting any workout routine. This is the Martial Heart Podcast.
Hey, how are you? How's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host. Everybody knows that. So let me adjust I have to adjust some headphone volume. So anyhow, tonight, I know it's been a few days since I did one. We had some things going on here at home, some health-related issues. Not me. The heart's okay. But we, anyhow, that involved some stuff, hospitals and things. And, I'm not going to talk about it yet. So we'll discuss that another time. But it's Friday evening, and I really didn't want to talk about any of that stuff. I didn't want to talk about my time in the hospital or this other person's time in the hospital or heart attacks or anything else. So I thought, and I think I said I would do this before, I am going to voice over live on the air. It's not live, but without prepping, without deciding what I was going to say beforehand, I'm going to narrate my jiu-jitsu tournament videos because I think it's hilarious. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you over here. Let's see, I'm going to show you. So this is what we have. And the title of the video, my first BJJ tournament, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament at 53 years old. I'm going to set that up while you guys can't see it so that I look like I'm totally cool and that I know what I'm doing. And then we're going to do that. So anyhow, otherwise, it's been an interesting week. I had our annual Christmas party at work today. So that's always fun to see everybody and get everybody together at one time and discuss just fun things and discuss the state of the business and things like that. And it was a good one. It was good. The place we keep going, and every time we go there, they mess things up bigger and bigger. And so the seating arrangements weren't that great. And they had us spread out over, 3 different tables. And it was really, you were kind of confined to talking with the people who were just at your specific table. And so we need to find a different arrangement, something better to do that. And don't criticize me for moving this microphone around all the time. Just don't do it. For those of you who are watching. And I guess this one isn't going to matter if you're not watching. So I guess I won't upload this one to just the audio podcasts. This will be a video only version because it would be pointless for me to upload this to Spreaker and have everybody listen to me narrating a video that you can't see. So I guess this is going to be video only. I'm going to post it on both YouTube channels, my original YouTube channel where these were posted 3 years ago, and my current one, which is under a different name here at the Martial Heart Podcast. So I guess that's how I'll do it. I'll just upload the video to the video channels only, because otherwise it would be pointless. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take us to this other view. So now you can see me up there in the corner. And, oh, interesting. I'm wearing a blue shirt, and I did the tournament in my blue gi, which was a regulation IBJJF, the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. This was a sanctioned tournament by them. And the rules are you can only have gis in 3 colors, white, black, or blue. The end. You're not allowed to wear a gi that's any other color if they're going to strictly adhere to the rules. And there's also rules about how far the hem of the pants can be from your ankle, and the sleeve of the shirt can be from your wrist bone, and all these different things. Why, I don't know, but that's the rules. So They don't want you. I guess it's because these are gi tournaments, and so in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it involves a lot of grabbing people's clothing and sometimes choking them with it. So they want it to be fair, so that people aren't going in there with shrunken gis with short sleeves and Bermuda, like what do they call those? Oh no, capri pants or whatever, you know. So there's enough material for people to grab fairly, because that's how you do jujitsu. You grab things. And then, of course, there's no gi jujitsu, which is done in just regular sports clothing, shorts and t-shirts and stuff. And that's a fun one as well. No gi is, I'm going to turn this off so you're not just staring at a still image, but no gi is interesting. And I had a good time at our jujitsu school classes. We do no gi during the height of the summer when it's really hot, because that helps, because you're not wearing that really thick cotton, gi and sweating in it and everything. So during the summertime, it's a little bit better to do the no gi. And it's essentially just like wrestling, but there's choke holds and joint locks and wrist locks and stuff involved. Everyone hates wrist locks. Everyone does, including me. So anyway, it's a lot like just what you would do if you were wrestling, except you can choke the other person, or break their ankle, or do the wrist lock thing that everybody hates. But this was a gi tournament, and it was sanctioned by the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, IBJJF. And this was the Buckeye State Grappling Championships. Now, the term grappling is used to describe any sport that involves, you guessed it, grappling. And that would include jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Judo could be involved in that, wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, or, Olympic wrestling, or all these other things involve grappling. So, they're called grappling tournaments, and sometimes they are specific to Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like this one is. And so, anyhow, a sanctioned tournament. There were a ton of people there. This was at the height of COVID, too. So we were the defiant ones when it came to obeying rules, because it was kind of like, it's the height of COVID. Everybody isolate, don't get involved in, physical activities that involve sweating on each other, or possibly salivating on each other, and all these other things. And we were like, nah, screw that. Let's go wrestle and sweat on each other all day. And that's what we did. And I don't know of anybody who came home sick from that, but everybody's immune system, they were all, amateur athletes and stuff. They're people who pretty much take care of themselves. So I'm sure everybody had a strong immune system. But if you look down there in the corner, the lower corner, it says it has 18,000 views, which is interesting. I've had some of my older videos get a whole bunch of views, more than that. But I didn't post anything for 7 years. Literally, I didn't post anything for 7 years. And then I posted the 2 videos of the that were captured by Nate, my friend from jiu-jitsu class. He's one of our blue belts. And I hadn't, like I said, I hadn't posted anything for 7 years. And they got a lot of attention, because I think a lot of older people are getting back involved in martial arts, and jiu-jitsu is a kind of a good way to go, I guess, especially for older people, because it's not going to involve trying to stretch and kick people in the head. It takes place on the ground, and it's it's not so jump up or down and try to do flying kicks and things like that. So jiu-jitsu is a kind of a really good sport to get into when you're older, if you're not going to have to grapple with 300-pound 20-year-olds who are going to crush you and try to murder you. But as people describe it, jiu-jitsu is, the art of folding clothes with people still in them, or it's practice murder, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're trying to choke each other or do arm locks or whatever. So it's simulated murder. And so here we are. This is how it starts. Of course, you come out and you shake hands or whatever, a fist bump. We would do the fist bump thing and greet each other, and you greet the referee, and then somebody says go, and I think these were 5-minute timed matches. And so here is how it went. Now, there's going to be some interesting things that happen, so I'll describe those as they occur, but here we go. And first thing I want you to do is notice that I'm going to say his name was Dave, but he outweighs me at least by 50 pounds. And he's not a fat guy, but he's a large man. And he is taller than me. He's heavier than me. He was bigger than me in general. And so I had lost a lot of weight. Not really a lot. I typically, when I'm not trying to be all bulky, when I was lifting weights and stuff a lot, when I let myself go to my natural weight, I'm usually between 170 and 175 now at this age. It used to be 160, 170, somewhere in between there, but in my 50s, my body it settles somewhere between 170 and 175 as my natural weight. But I had gone on a keto diet. I had increased my exercise routines. I was working out like 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and that involved 4 days of doing martial arts training and then working out at home on my own. And I was ripped. I was in the best condition I had been in a very long time. And I shed a lot of underlying fat, and I had muscle definition, which you'll see some of it because, your gis come out or come open, when you're grappling and stuff. So it's kind of funny. But I'm also pale, like I'm already dead. And at least in contrast to the dark floor and everything and the dark blue gi. So I already look like someone found me in the morgue and put a gi on me and threw me out there to grapple. But you're also going to see how stiff I am and how I'm moving very poorly. And I think a lot of that was nerves. So we're going to start off this way. We're already past the preliminary hi, how you doing, shake hands thing. But I wanted to point out the stark contrast between, well, I guess I could explain how that happened. Okay, so in jiu-jitsu tournaments, you have weight classes. You have age classes and you have weight classes. So I was over 50. And there were, by the time the tournament came around, there were only 5 people who were registered who were over 50. So generally you would be in a weight class. Well, what they wound up with was 5 people who were over 50, and all 5 of them would have been in different weight classes. And so the guy who spent so much time dropping weight and getting in shape and who weighed in with his gi on at 160, which would be me, which means I was probably, buck naked, I was probably 156 pounds at the time, which isn't too thin for me, but, it's a lot lighter than I had been in decades. So I spent all that time losing weight and trimming down and getting ripped and getting in good shape. And all it did was make me the smallest person in that age range of above 50. And so they put together what's called an absolute category where it's open for everybody, age and weight, except this was only for people over 50. So they called it the old school absolute category. And so all of us 50 plus people went into the same, match. We went into the same brackets. So I wound up being the smallest person in the bracket. So I went to all that trouble of trying to trim down, get in really good shape, because I thought I would be put into a weight class with other people of my weight class. And I kind of anticipated being a little bit stronger than them because I'm normally bigger than that. And I used to do a lot of heavy lifting and stuff. So I thought trimming down, I would have an advantage in a lower weight class. And then I had to grapple people who are all over 200 pounds. So that was fun. So anyway, that's how it starts, and that's how we wound up not being in the same weight class. So and then the match, somebody just says go, and you go. Now watch this. I have a hold of him, but I might as well not. It felt like I was trying to move a tree because he has a very solid foundation. He's just pushing against me, and I'm having very little effect. I'm trying to force him down with a little collar tie type thing. But you can see my legs are stiff. I'm not squatted down because I already felt like, I was at a disadvantage. So I didn't want to squat down and have him crush me. So I try, and then I fail to take him down, but I get the reversal. So we'll go back and take a look at that again. So, oops, not far enough. So I tried to basically I was just trying to entice him into doing something. So I kept going at his leg, but it was half-hearted. I wasn't actually trying to do anything. So here I try to hook his leg, but he throws me down instead. So I just sweep him and I take the mount. And so what you get from there is I'm leading in points now because he tried to take down, failed. I reversed it. So I get 2 points, I believe it is, for the reversal of the takedown. And then I took the mount, and I held the mount for more than 4 seconds. So I get 4 points for holding the mount. So the score is currently 6-0. But I was trying everything right here. That was an interesting thing to do. Was I tried to roll over and do a reverse arm bar from underneath, and that didn't work. So all I wound up doing was letting him get on top of me and crush me a little bit. So here's me. We wind up getting too close to the other grapplers. I don't know why they decided to move us instead of the other guys. So, but they did. And here is where a little bit of controversy takes place. We're supposed to get back into the same position we were in. And this is where I believe I was. I had my knee up and I'm basically trying to do a knee shield. But they started putting us back together completely wrong. He was partially past my guard. I had the knee shield up, but he was over my left leg when we stopped over there. And they kept screwing it up. And so the coaches and the referee kind of decided where we were going to be when we restarted. And they got it a little bit wrong, and it kind of gave me an advantage. Not really an advantage. I'm on the bottom, but I wasn't in as awkward a position as I was when we stopped on the other end. So it was a little bit. So I open up, I get him into my guard. This is called being in the guard, where I've got him held in my legs, but not really, because my guard is very weak. My legs are kind of short, so I don't really have a very good advantage of trying to hold somebody in my guard. So here he's just trying to put pressure on me. This is the problem. He's trying to like maybe try to get a collar choke of some kind, but here he's going to start trying to pass my guard, which, go ahead. Everybody does it. My guard is so bad. So I know he's going to pass my guard, and I stopped caring after a while and just let him do it. But here he's trying to forearm into my throat, trying to cut off my air. But if you watch, and you have to watch it several times over and over, he wasn't actually doing anything. It was almost like he didn't know what to do once he got up there. And so I had time to think and to look around and to try different things. And I saw his arm come up, and I'm like, okay, I can do a Kimura. But if you look close, I'm not locked in on the Kimura until about right now. So he's grabbing his own gi, to stop me from twisting his arm upward and getting him to tap. So I get him loose back and forth, but he keeps muscling his way back out and grabbing onto things. And the last thing he grabs onto, he makes the mistake of grabbing onto me. And when he does that, I'm able to kick my leg and break his grip. And that's when I crank down and he taps. So I got the tap, I got the submission, and so I win. And that was my first jiu-jitsu tournament match. And then you got to put everything back together and, try to look nice again. So that, and Everybody's a mess, but you can't see it. But I'm a wreck. My forearms are dead. I have tendonitis already, and holding that grip for so long, it destroyed my arms. It was just the worst thing ever. And I'm a traditionalist, so I'm always good with the bowing and the things and the being nice to each other and all that other stuff and showing respect to your opponent and things that don't happen a lot anymore. But I only had a few minutes, or it may have been 1 or 2 5-minute matches that I had to wait through, and then I had my second opponent, and or maybe that was the guy named Dave. Oh, now I've got too much music playing. Sorry. So I've got to find that video now, and it's this one, and this one is quite a lot shorter than the other. So here we are, and the the recording again didn't start when we were out there doing the preliminary "Hi, how you doing?" greet each other thing. So he started recording essentially right when the referee said "and go." So here we are, and it's me and a guy who's much taller and he's heavier, and he's got quite an advantage over me. He has really long legs. So I had seen him grapple with my friend Ed beforehand, and he has really long legs that are really strong, and he has a good guard, and I have short legs. So passing someone's guard when their legs are longer than yours is very difficult to do. So, especially if they're locked in really well and they know how to play from the guard. Um, I was still fairly new, and so my passing the guard techniques were probably stronger than my keeping my own guard techniques, but they still weren't great. So, because a lot of people have longer legs and they're locked in, and you can't push far enough away from them to break the grip. It's hard to explain, I guess, without showing it. But the one thing I knew was that I did not want to get into his guard. I did not want him to pull me down into the guard. It's called pulling guard, if you're not familiar with jujitsu. So that was what I did not want to happen. So, and what he does is he immediately tries to pull me into his guard because he also understands his advantage. So this is how it starts. And it's just grip fighting, and I'm trying to break his grip. That failed. He tried to pull me down into his guard. So I'm just keeping myself out of his guard until I get around to the side far enough, and I get to the knee on belly, and I get my points for being knee on belly. And then I just went down. I fell down onto my side, and I basically have him in a guillotine choke from the side. And I wrap my legs around him so he can't get out. And I arch a little bit, and I get the tap. So the actual match lasted less than 30 seconds or so from the time that they said go until I got the tap. So that was that one. And so that one was a much nicer victory and a lot faster. And I was hurt a lot less after that. But, oh, now I don't know what's happening here. It was a commercial. Both matches injured me. Yes, I won both of them, and I won one with a Kimura. I'm sure his arm was sore for a couple of days after that because it got held for so long, but he got Kimura'd, and the other guy got guillotined, more or less a guillotine, like laying down on our sides. I didn't really have a good choke on him when I did it. It was more of a neck crank. And when I locked him into it and arched, I was basically just trying to pull his head off of his shoulders. And it worked, apparently. But both of those techniques were done mostly with my left arm. And my left arm involves the shoulder that I dislocated a couple of years before that. Or actually, it was only about a year before that. I had severely dislocated my left shoulder and damaged my left bicep and my rotator cuff and everything else from here basically down to my fingers was damaged in some way. And getting back into martial arts was how I was recuperating. That's how I was rehabilitating myself after this terrible accident that I had, tumbling down a flight of stairs. And I wound up doing most of the work with my left arm, the one that was still probably recovering from being injured really bad. And so I was in severe pain for weeks after this tournament. It was almost like I re-injured everything: my bicep, my rotator cuff, my forearm, everything, my elbow. It was bad. And I actually, I went to classes for a couple of weeks, and every time I tried to move it, I tried to do a technique with my left arm, I was in pain. It was almost making me tap myself because I was hurting myself by trying to do these techniques. I took some time off and let it heal a little bit, and then came back, but that's one of the big problems that I had was after this tournament was I injured myself. And so it took a long time for that to heal. And I realize now that I have this weak spot from that injury, that there are injuries to my left arm and left shoulder that are very sensitive to being strained again still. And it may always be that way. So there are certain techniques that I have to try to avoid. If I'm going to do a Kimura or a guillotine or something else like that, I need to work on doing it from the right side, where my right arm is the one that's at the strange angle to get it into place. And, hopefully that will help prevent me injuring myself again. But it was a fun, fun, fun tournament, and I haven't done one since. But hopefully, if I can get back to class and I can get myself prepared again and I can get myself back in shape again, in that kind of shape, then yeah, I'd love to do another tournament and go grapple with some other old farts like myself, because it's all fun and it's all, it seems very aggressive and violent, but it's not, and everybody is very respectful and has a good time and not out to injure each other. Sometimes if you watch people doing grappling online or on TV, sometimes it looks like they're actually trying to kill each other, and in some cases they might be, and they have very little regard for the safety of the other person, and sometimes some really severe injuries happen. But nothing too serious during this tournament. Ed's son got cracked ribs from it or injured ribs, but and he's a little phenom. He's fantastic, but yeah, it was. I'm not like that, and the people at this tournament weren't like that. They weren't like overly aggressive. They weren't violent, even though it's a violent sport. But I don't know. I guess you have to be there to know the difference. It's a physical activity and it's a physical contest, but you're not actually trying to hurt each other that much, just enough to get you to tap, and so that's the fun of it. And I myself am not afraid to tap at all because I'm not going to fight you. If you've got a good arm, if you've got a good Kimura on me or a good choke on me, yeah, you can fight it for a while. And if you're lucky, you might be able to get out or reverse it. But you're also risking injuring yourself by resisting that strange angle that they've got you in, or that strange tilt to your neck that they've got you in. And it's better to just go ahead and tap. Don't try to fight it. It's not a tournament. It's not a life or death struggle. It's you and your friends in training, just practicing. So there's no point in fighting it and letting yourself get injured over it. So I tap early and tap often, as I like to say, because it doesn't bother me. If you get me in a good hold, I'm going to tap and I'm going to say, "Hey, good job. That was nice. That hurt." So it doesn't bother me at all because I would rather do that than injure myself and not be able to keep going and participating in this thing. So anyhow, that's where all the fun comes from in jiu-jitsu, the simulated murder. And I'm hoping that's what I'm hoping to get back into and be able to do. I have a couple of videos. They're only on my phone, though, I think, of the karate tournament that I did earlier that same year. I went to a karate tournament and I participated in the kata and in the sparring. I wound up bringing home the first place trophy in the kata competition, which was fun. I have this big trophy. It's the first trophy I think I've ever gotten in my life, to be honest with you. I don't remember ever getting a trophy for anything when I was younger because I was a mediocre athlete at best. And yeah, I did a bunch of martial arts stuff, but I only went to a couple of tournaments. Didn't do very well when I was young. So, yeah, nothing great. So I have this awesome, trophy down there in the cabinet. And a third place in the sparring, but there were only like 3 of us in the sparring, so it was like I was going to win something. So it was questionable. But because of the 2 victories at the jiu-jitsu tournament, I wound up getting the gold medal in the old school absolute category. And the guy in the white gi got the silver. No. Oh, I'm confused now. No, the guy in the black gi got the silver, and the guy in the white gi got the bronze. I think. I don't know. I'm confused now. It's 3 years ago. I have pictures, but I'm not going to go dig them up. But anyway, got a gold medal for the day and went home, and was in pain for 3 months. So it was all worth it. It was totally worth it. It was like a 3-hour drive too, and I was so beat up that my wife had to drive us back because I couldn't drive. I couldn't hold the steering wheel. I tried. I drove part of the way and I had to pull over and pull into a rest stop and get out. And we had to change drivers because my tendonitis and my left arm was hurting so bad I was having trouble holding onto the steering wheel. So I was a wreck. So there was a lot of Advil involved in that one. But that was it. I said I was going to do that before and I never got around to doing it. So that's me narrating my 2 jiu-jitsu tournament things. And I got really lucky, and I was lucky. My first tournament, I was able to come out on top both times that I had to grapple. If there had been one more person there, I probably would have had to have 3 matches. All of us would have had 3, but the way it worked out, we all just had to have 2 matches, and I won. So maybe I should just retire and go out on top. You know what I'm saying? Because I am undefeated in IBJJF competition. I don't know how many people can say that, but I'm one of them because I only had 2 matches. So if I have another match and I lose, now I just ruined everything. I ruined my reputation and my record, which is also funny because after that, in jiu-jitsu class, whenever somebody would be choking me out, I would say, "You can't do this to me. I have a gold medal." And it became a running joke because it was funny. I don't take any of it too seriously. So I try not to let anybody else take it too seriously either, but it's fun. And, if you go to a tournament and get your ass kicked, big deal. It's a tournament. It's a game. You just go practice. You got to up your game. You got to, get better trained and go back and do it again. And, that's what I like to do. I don't know why, but I just do. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. And, stick around. Maybe before this is all over, I'll do some other tournaments and I can narrate more videos that are just exciting. Anyway, have a good night and enjoy your weekend. Be safe, and I'll see you next time.